You're listening to Civic from the San Francisco Public Press. It is Veterans Day today, and Courtney Ellington wants you to think about
happiness, rejoice. Think about teamwork, think about love, trust, loyalty, but most importantly, think about happiness.
We'll talk about how she and Eddie Ramirez with an organization called OneVet OneVoice are trying to change perceptions of the veteran community, link veterans to services, and help them figure out the transition from military to civilian life.
The DOD and the VA, they don't do a warm handoff. It's okay, you're done with the military, bye. And then the VA, they're not looking for you. You have to, as a veteran, you have to go out and seek the information.
I'm Laura Wennis, and this is Civic. Right on Van Ness Avenue, one of the city's biggest thoroughfares, across from City Hall, you'll find the War Memorial Veterans Building. You've probably passed it before, and you might know it because it also has the Herbst Theater. Go upstairs and yes, there's the green room, but there's also a hub for veterans services. This is a building with a long history.
These doors here, these used to be the holes for the masons. Oh. So you'd knock on the door, they'd have to recognize and you'd be able to come in.
Eddie Ramirez gave me the tour. He's the founder of OneVet OneVoice, an organization that connects veterans with services. He's a retired Air Force Master Sergeant and has played many other roles helping out fellow veterans. He also knows the history of the memorial building, like that it used to be a Masonic hall and that the American Legion helped raise the money to build it, securing usage rights in perpetuity.
This building was built in 1932, back in, I think a couple years ago, I forget how many years ago. The building went under renovation, and the city put a bunch of money into this building. The American Legion used to be down on the first floor. We had our offices there. And then after the renovation, they moved us up to the second floor. All the wood here that you see was all stuff that was down on the first floor. So here's our Veterans Success Center, which Craig Newmart helped fund. So we have veterans here that could do their resumes, and with the help of some of the staff, they help them get jobs here and provide any clothing or passes for the BART or anything like that.
Jobs. That's one of four main things that the organization Eddie founded is focused on. I sat down with him and with Courtney Ellington, the new CEO of OneVet OneVoice, to talk about this.
With OneVet OneVoice, there's four main things that come to mind when you think about a veteran. These four things are critical because veterans need all four of them: healthcare, education, housing, and employment. And when I talk about healthcare, I mean, a lot of veterans don't know that they're eligible for VA benefits. They don't know that they could file a claim against the government for their service connection. Anything that was incurred or aggravated by their military service, they are authorized to file a claim. A lot of Vietnam veterans didn't know that, and their quality of life could have been so much better. So if you think about it, the word needs to get out that veterans can do this. They can file for service connection. And the VA is there to help them. It's the largest system in the world. It's got 1,600 entry points where veterans can actually go in and get the care and services that they need. So healthcare under OneVet OneVoice is critical because we have that knowledge that we share with veterans. Education. If you think about it, a lot of veterans or active duty folks don't take advantage of the educational benefits that they're entitled to. Here in San Francisco, it's got the highest per diem rate for any veterans that are in San Francisco going to school. It's almost $4,000 to attend school in San Francisco. All right, and it's based on geographical locations, of course, but I mean, in San Francisco, you have a lot of veterans that are coming to San Francisco to go to school, but they don't realize the cost of living in San Francisco. So you have veterans that are commuting, that are flying in, that are sleeping in their car to take advantage of that educational benefit. So education is another part of OneVet OneVoice that we try to help educate our veterans. So I mentioned healthcare, education, housing. As you could see in San Francisco, it's out of most people's range. You know, there's not enough veteran housing. Although we have some initiatives that we're trying to push to try to get veterans priorities for below market rate, but that's still in the works. Example, United Airlines has trouble hiring technicians here because of the cost of living is so high. They can't find and retain employees because they can't afford to live out here. So housing is a big thing out here in San Francisco, a huge homeless population out here.
That housing legislation Eddie just mentioned in passing that's in the works is going through the local process. Supervisor Gordon Marr introduced it in mid-October. It would give veterans who already qualify for subsidized housing based on their income relative to the Area Median Income, or AMI, a priority in local affordable housing.
In anticipation of Veterans Day and month in November, I'm introducing 2 ordinances to recognize and pay respect to our veterans community by expanding access to affordable housing and providing fee waivers or reductions for veterans at facilities on city park property. The first piece of this legislative package puts our city on the path to creating a new affordable housing priority for veterans who qualify for existing affordable housing preferences under our administrative code. There are approximately 24,000 veterans in our city, all of whom have made significant personal and professional sacrifices to serve our community, city, state, and country. The 2019 point-in-time count identified 600 chronically homeless veterans in our city, amounting to 9% of the total count. And of the chronically homeless veterans, 84% were people of color. Additionally, existing rental housing programs for veterans, such as public housing, are only available to veterans earning up to 50% of AMI. And many veterans with income above 50% AMI who are not eligible for such housing are still rent burdened and are at risk of homelessness. So prioritizing eligible veterans who qualify for an existing housing preference in the city's affordable housing programs will support low-income veterans transitioning into stable housing and economic self-sufficiency and mitigate the risk of homelessness faced by many veterans in our city.
So that's another thing that we're trying to work on under OneVet OneVoice. And of course, employment. Employment is key to anything. You got to have a job in order for you to get survival, to be surviving. Courtney here runs the Veteran Success Center, and I'll hand it off to Courtney.
Some of the things that we face watching the veterans come in is basically when we get them a job, they need clothing. So what we do is, OneVet OneVoice, we collab with other community organizations to help provide those supportive services to give to veterans. And when I say supportive services, I'm talking about clip a card for transportation, shoes, clothing, and equipment, like if they need equipment for a job. So we also help with that. And just like Eddie said, housing is a big thing. So we connect with other community organizations to provide the housing resources for them. Here at the Veteran Success Center, a lot of veterans do not know that we are here. So one of the things I want to do is to let them know that we are here 5 days a week at 401 Van Ness. We are on the second floor, room 224. We would like to increase our traffic so that we can continue to put out the resources and the information to these veterans. Outreach is a big thing for me. It's very important that we get the word out that we are here to the community as well as the veterans. And the reason why the community is so important, because you may not be a veteran, but you may know a veteran.
Right.
And you can refer a veteran to us. And one of the most important things that I see is, I was talking to a lady the other day, and she said, when I think about veterans, I think about people on the street and, just doing bad and everything like that. She had such a negative outlook on veterans. Little did she know, veterans are well educated. They are some of the best people that you can hire on the job because they know how to be leaders as well as good followers. And they are team players. But a lot of them have degrees because they use their education benefits and they get their degrees and different things like that. So what we want to do, we want to change how the community see the veterans and get the community more involved with the veterans, especially those employers. And one thing about it is, it's very important that the employers are also trained as to how to communicate effectively with veterans and understand some of the trauma that they've gone through. But we are good people just like anyone else. We're citizens just like anyone else. And we just want to change what people think about the veteran community.
That means having a web presence and being active on social media, but also events to bring people together. There's big celebrations like a Veterans Community Awards Gala, but also recurring events where veterans can get together to talk. For a while, OneVet OneVoice organized regular town hall style meetings. That program, known as the Veterans Town Hall Collaborative, has ended for now, but it is coming back under a new name soon. Eddie was the one who launched it.
I started the collaborative when I worked at the VA. I was the administrative officer for mental health. I was also the minority veteran program coordinator, and that allowed me to do outreach. In the process of doing the outreach for the VA to help enrollment for the VA, I found that there are so many different organizations out there that kind of work in silos.
Yes.
So a lot of organizations didn't know what resources this organization had, and people just were not aware of all the different resources that these organizations could provide. Not only federal and state, but nonprofits and community organizations. And I brought federal, state, local, and community partners all into this building. And I would get up and introduce myself and give a little short synopsis of who I am, what I do, and why I'm doing this. And then I'd go around the room. And everybody had an opportunity to come up 3 to 5 minutes on what they do and what kind of services that they could provide for veterans. So that way you build a network of organizations that are aware now of what's available out there for veterans. Mm-hmm. This has kind of transpired into what the VA now calls the Bay Area Community Veteran Engagement Board. And this is going to replace the San Francisco Town Hall Collaborative, because this is a program that the VA backs nationwide. And I'm the chair of the Bay Area Community Veteran Engagement Board. So when Courtney says that we're going to bring this back up, we're going to bring it back up under the auspices of the Community Veteran Engagement Board. Mm-hmm. The Bob Woodward Foundation is backing it. Craig Newmark backs it through the Bob Woodward Foundation. So once we get that going, it's going to be the same format as a town hall collaborative that we used to do. Mm-hmm. So this way, it's a safety net for veterans. A veteran comes into OneVet OneVoice, they need X, Y, or Z. Now we have a network of organizations that could help with X, Y, and Z. Mm-hmm. So that way the veteran doesn't fall through the cracks, which happens a lot.
Yes.
So the building is here as a one-stop shop for our veterans in the Bay Area, San Francisco, nationwide. We're here for any veteran, wherever they're at.
I was curious about that term, one-stop shop, because given how complex the system is, that seems like something people could really benefit from. And the San Francisco VA also says that that's what it offers. Here's a video they put out with a bit of a tour of part of the facility.
Hi, everybody. I'm Stephen Torello. I'm the Associate Director here in San Francisco VA. It is my pleasure to introduce to you our new Veterans Experience Center. So come on in and let me show you what we got going on here. So the overall approach to the Veteran Experience Center is to make it a one-stop shop for all of our veterans, make all the conveniences here for them to come in one place.
So okay, multiple different organizations are hoping to try to make their services convenient and accessible to veterans. But for many, veterans still have to go to them. With OneVet OneVoice, someone can walk in and say, I don't know where to start, and get a referral.
The reason why we are considered a one-stop shop is because we have combined organizations into one area. One of the organizations we have is the VSO office, which is the Veteran Service Officer. He's here for those who are interested in filing a VA claim. We also have wooden boats for vets, and that helps with mental health, and he'll take them out sailing, so it's an opportunity for them to sign up for there. We also have the mentors of the Veterans Court, and I'm a mentor myself. And so what we do, we mentor those veterans who are going through the justice system and help them with the resources that we have here in our building. We also have the American Legion. And for the veterans who just want to be social and be a part of something bigger than themselves, then we have the American Legion available for them to join. We have AMVETS here. We have the Daughters of American Revolution. We have a variety of events of organizations, and I can go on and on. But we are the one-stop shop for the veteran community, because when you walk in as a veteran, you're going to walk out with something.
I like that. Is that your catchphrase?
Yes.
And that's not just for core important things like housing and healthcare. A lot goes on up here on the second floor of 401 Van Ness. There are also social events. There's drumming, there's guitar, there's bike safety, there's tango classes, and of course, there's information. For example, veterans are assigned a disability rating. That's used to determine how much disability compensation they can receive, as well as eligibility for other VA benefits. The rating is based on the severity of what's called service-connected conditions. That is, conditions that were caused by, aggravated by, or occurred during military service. I'll let Eddie explain that one a little bit more.
Anything related or anything incurred or aggravated by your military service. So if you had a knee problem before you came in and it got aggravated because you were wearing boots and marching, you could file a claim against that. If you shot a weapon and you're starting to get ringing in your ear, you could file a claim for that. If you hurt your back, if you went to the doctors and had a cyst on your leg and they got it removed and it got infected or whatever, anything that was service related, you could file a claim. I personally, when I retired after 22 years of military service, I was rated at 60% after 22 years of service. Conditions get worse with time. You reapply, I'm now at 100%. At 100%. So it's a good chunk of change. And a lot of veterans don't know that they could do this.
Yeah.
So it's a matter of educating them and having them go to the correct source, OneVet OneVoice, to get those referrals so they could get that service connection. On filing a claim for service connection, of course it's got to be related to your military service. But here in the state of California, if you're rated 0 to 100%, every percentage has a monetary amount. In the state of California, and every state has their own benefits, if you're rated 0% here in the state of California, under the Department of Veterans Affairs with the state, is CalVet, your dependents could go to any university, community college, or state-run school tuition free.
Wow.
Through the CalVet tuition fee waiver program. Mm-hmm. If you are 30% or more service connected and you're applying for a federal government job, that federal agency could hire you non-competitively to go to work for the federal government. If you're 50% service connected or more, there is zero copay for your service at the VA. You get all your glasses, all your medication, surgeries, anything and everything free.
Yes.
Like I said, there is a monetary amount that comes with each rating. 100% service connected, it's $3,000 plus that you get for your service for life, tax free.
Wow.
So
we're talking per month, yes?
Per month.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Per month for your entire life.
So like both Courtney and Eddie have acknowledged, it can be kind of hard to piece together all the different things you're entitled to after you get out of the service. And sometimes people just don't know what benefits to seek out. But some people also just feel isolated.
To me, veterans fall through the crack when once they get out of service, they're so used to doing things in a structured way. They used to leadership being a certain way. They used to moving at a certain pace. And when you get out and you don't have that, and you've gone so many years in the service with that, you feel depressed, you feel alone, you feel like no one understands. And then on top of that, to not know what resources are out there for you, that's an even bigger problem. So that's why we want to do more outreach and catch those that's getting out of the service so that we can let them know what's available, let them know where other veterans at, because a lot of times veterans like to be around other veterans because they understand. And also we want to educate the community more, because to me, sometimes the community is divided. And when the community is divided and you put a veteran in the community and they're so used to working together, whether you like each other or not, it's all about the mission. But if you get involved with the community and everyone is backstabbing and doing their own thing and not working together. It's like you jump into a whole nother world that you have to get used to. So when you get around other veterans, you help each other. You naturally help each other. You naturally look out for each other, inform each other about what's available for them. Then that puts us back in a safe place, in a comfortable place. That's why we are here every day, to let the veterans know that, hey, we all are veterans. We're here. Come see us. Let's talk, and we'll work it out.
Not only that, you're dealing with two different federal agencies.
Yep.
You're dealing with DOD and you're dealing with the Department of Veterans Affairs. And the two don't mesh. You have DOD that is, they ramp up these veterans to basic training, and you're at a tempo up here like this, mission, but they don't ramp you back down. So, and it's so large that you have Air Force, Army, Marine Corps, Navy, Coast Guard, and each of them do it a different way. So you have that where, one day you might be firing a weapon and overseas somewhere, and the next day you're back home on your porch drinking a beer.
You're like, well, now what?
Yeah, there's no transition, no clear, consistent transition. Although some of the services try to do that with the TAP program and the global, what's it called now? I forget.
They change the name.
Yeah, they change the name periodically. In the Air Force, I deal with Travis Air Force Base a lot too. They have a week-long transition program for the young airmen that are getting out. For the older ones that are retiring, it's a week and a half or 2 weeks where they transition them. They give them resume writing skills and different things to try to get them set up for when they get out.
And that's not enough.
1
week is not enough.
Not enough. And then you have the VA that is not consistent as well. In order for you to utilize the VA services, you have to sign up and get a member card. And the DOD and the VA don't talk about what's needed. It's kind of like they don't do a warm handoff. It's, okay, you're done with the military, okay, bye. And then the VA, they're not looking for you. You have to, as a veteran, you have to go out and seek the information.
How does that make any sense?
Tell me.
Wow.
I mean, that's why you have organizations like OneVet OneVoice that try to fill that gap between the two.
And something else I noticed that the organizations who are majority veterans, they're more successful with their connection to veterans because, like I said before, veterans will rather be around other veterans. And OneVet OneVoice is 100% veterans. Everyone involved are veterans that could relate to every veteran out there in some form of fashion. And when I say can relate, I was a single mother. You may have a veteran who was homeless who made it out. Someone who didn't have education and got education afterwards. And I can go on, but we are veterans who can connect on a whole different level with other veterans. And one thing about OneVet OneVoice, we meet the veteran where they're at. We don't judge you. We meet you where you at, and we welcome you, and we work from there to build you up.
Yeah. Now, OneVet OneVoice doesn't provide direct services. We provide referrals.
Yeah.
We have a vast network that we could refer veterans to. Now, when I founded OneVet OneVoice, the 4 pillars that we have, healthcare, education, housing, and employment, that was not my idea. Back when the governor, I believe it was Governor Brown, signed a proclamation that established the Interagency Council on Veterans in Sacramento. And their mission was to come up with what are the deliverables that the state of California needs to provide our veterans. So there was people from all over the state to come together in Sacramento to determine what are the things that our veterans need. And what came out of it were those 4 pillars. I happened to be the chair of the healthcare working group. And I said to myself, man, how are we going to get this information to 58 counties in the state of California from one location? And I said, it's a daunting task. So I said to myself, if I could bring this information to San Francisco, where I'm a native, and if I could do it here and have it grow out, then maybe we could have some success. And believe it or not, we're having some success.
Yes.
We're helping a lot of veterans, and other people are looking at us and taking this to their location. We have another organization in Oakland that's doing pretty much the same thing. They're doing the town hall. They're building a network there. We have a housing project in Richmond that we're trying to get together. So there's a lot of organizations and collaboratives throughout the state that are starting from the ground and working out.
Mm-hmm. You had been talking, Courtney, about educating the community about how to think about veterans. And like, if you're not one yourself, I just want to get your take on what you think people should be thinking about as, you know, we collectively recognize veterans in their service.
This is for the community. I would like for you all to think on Veterans Day. Think about happiness, rejoice. Think about coming together. Think about building a better community. Think about teamwork. Think about love, trust, loyalty. Think about it all. But most importantly, think about happiness. And when you see someone who's a veteran, just tell them, thank you for your service, and that's all we need. As veterans, we don't need anyone to feel sorry for us, because guess what? We are happy that we served our country. And so that is a day of celebration. Also, I want to let everybody know that it's not just Veterans Day. November is Veterans Month. So think about November as Veterans Month, and it's the perfect month because it's the same month that we celebrate Thanksgiving.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting to hear you say that, because so much, if you look up like, you know, the VA's Facebook page or the website or anything like that, a lot of what you see is like resources for depression.
PTSD.
Exactly. It's all
suicide.
About like, yes. And it is a little bit like, okay, so this must be the main thing that everybody's thinking about all the time. Plus, there have been people who have complicated feelings about the withdrawal from Afghanistan, which, you know, until recently was all over the news. And that is not something that has gone away just because it's not in the headlines anymore. So maybe you just wanted to get your reflections on those things, especially because it's such a stark contrast to you talking about happiness.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. You know, one of the things that, you know, we're having a film festival this next weekend, the 13th and 14th at the San Francisco Main Library. And this is our 10th year that I founded the film festival, and started off with showing one film at the VA when I was working there. And it evolved and morphed into a film festival. And now we're in the 10th year. And the film festival is a way to help educate the public on some of the issues that our men and women face by showing films about these issues.
There's actually a huge variety of films and topics covered at this festival. You can see the full roster at sfveteransfilmfestival.org. The lineup includes documentaries that deal with concerns like mental health. One of them is called PTSD, The Walking Wounded.
Not everybody who looks normal and fine is normal and fine. And I didn't know what PTSD was, really.
That was his accomplishment in life. He was always a soldier. How do you make that impact on the world that you're trying to make when you think that your best years are behind you?
A film called On Black Mountain follows women veterans through a retreat where they confront the demons that arose out of their military deployments.
When I left my family, I made the decision to leave my career and pursue another career because I've always been a soldier.
It was clear I was a woman and I was less. I wasn't allowed a seat at the table.
It happened to us, and our brothers did it to us. We didn't have to go to war to fight an invisible war.
I was part of the problem. I was complicit in it.
I know who I was in the military, but who am I now?
But there are also dramas, an animated short, and historical works, like a film about photographer Charlotte Mansfield. It's a hybrid festival, taking place in part at the main library this Saturday and Sunday, November 13th and 14th, as well as virtually from the 14th through the 20th online.
So yeah, it's a way to help educate the public on some of the issues that our men and women face. This year's theme is women veterans. Mm-hmm. A lot of women don't realize that they're veterans. They don't recognize themselves as veterans. It's an issue that has been going on for many years.
Wow.
Yeah, and they think, oh, I didn't go to war. I'm not a veteran. And that's not right. They served their country. They have just as much rights as any male counterpart has. Mm-hmm. So this year's film festival is focusing on some of these issues and showing some of the issues that our women veterans face.
I'm a part of a few women veteran organizations, and just talking to some of my peers, sometimes the women feel uncomfortable going to certain organizations because it's predominantly male. Even in the service, it's predominantly male. Everywhere you go, it's predominantly male. So when they go and it's all, other female veterans, it's like, oh, finally, I can finally go to a place to where it's us and we can talk or we can connect and different things like that. So I agree with him. Sometimes the women veteran really don't say they're veterans because they don't feel like they have a place. Wow. And I've been there before. I felt like I didn't have a place. And so now that's one of the things that I want to change as well. I want to welcome more women veterans to the Veterans War Memorial building to come and connect so that we can have coffee and talk and cry and laugh, all together. So I agree. Women just didn't feel like they have a place. But we want to change that. And we want younger veterans to come to our building. We want women veterans. We're a very diverse organization. We want to welcome all veterans.
All right.
Even the trans veterans. It's a trans veterans group. And they've been coming to the building. So it's a place for everyone.
Anything else either of you want to add?
Happiness.
Yes. We're all smiling.
Well, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah,
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
That was Courtney Ellington, CEO of OneVet OneVoice, and Eddie Ramirez, who founded the organization. You can find out more and check back about the return of the Veterans Town Hall at OneVetOneVoice.org, and check out the film festival lineup at sfveteransfilmfestival.org. I'm Laura Wennis, and you've been listening to Civic. Civic comes to you from KSFP LP at 102.5 FM in San Francisco. Our theme music is by John Dillon. Our team includes producer and contributor Mel Baker and assistant producer Liana Wilcox. New episodes every Thursday. Thanks for listening.